Good morning. Welcome to our live webinar streaming on Facebook Live. I hope you all are well. You had a lovely start to the week. It is May. We had a public holiday on a Saturday. Doesn't help many people. Some people are really not working, but those of you who have been working on Saturday, I trust that you were paid double for working on a public holiday. Unfortunately, I think I also worked on Saturday. I thought I got paid double, but that's fine. That's the job of a lawyer to do his work and make sure his client is happy with the results. Nonetheless, our topic today, care, contact, and guardianship rights. Is there a gender preference? Before I start with that topic, I'll give people a few moments to join us and to have the opportunity to interact if you want to. You may interact via the Advocate Muhammad Abduroaf Facebook page. It's above there. Or you can send us a message later after you watch this video. And tomorrow or Thursday, when I do my next webinar, I will refer to those specific questions and deal with them later. And I shall also leave a comment or a reply to your comment stipulating what time I will be doing my next webinar dealing with your specific question. Nonetheless, we are live now, and let us get the wheels moving. Care, contact, and guardianship rights. Is there a gender preference? What do I mean by that? Does the law prefer having a situation where the mother is a primary caregiver of the minor child as opposed to the father? Is there a stereotype that believes that mothers are better caregivers overall throughout the minor child's life than fathers? Is there a preference that fathers are better caregivers for boys as opposed to girls, and vice versa? That's what we are dealing with today, the preference. The reason why I chose this topic is because many people, especially men, they come to me for assistance with the view that they are only entitled to certain care and contact rights. For example, that they are only entitled to have contact on every second weekend and maybe midweek contact and half school holidays. They come to me with that predisposed view and understanding that the law will never consider the possibility of them being primary caregivers. And that's not how the law works, and I will be doing them a disfavor, and to all my viewers a disfavor if I promote that specific understanding and view. What the law looks at is what is best for the minor children, despite gender. We all know that mothers work just as hard as fathers. They have jobs, full-time jobs. Fathers have full-time jobs. In a domestic relationship or situation, either by marriage or partnership, whatever the case may be, mothers and fathers go to work. The child wakes up. Both parties may, depending upon the facts, assist the minor child in getting dressed, feeding the minor child, whatever needs to be done to get the minor child to start the day. The father might be the one that takes the minor child to school, and the mother may be the one that collects the minor child. Should the minor child fall ill, depending upon how the schedule is the next day, if the father has an easy day the next day, then under those circumstances, the father will take care of the minor child the night before. If the father has a busy day, or he had a busy day and the minor child is ill, then the mother will take care of the minor child, and so on. So there's an equal caring of the minor child. Now, dealing with that specific scenario, should those specific parties separate or divorce, they need to now determine what should happen to the minor child? How should care and contact arrangements be implemented? Is there automatically a default scenario situation that the minor children should now be living with the mother? The father will be moving out, the child should remain with the mother. Or the mother is leaving the matrimonial home or the family home, and the kids must go with the mom, despite it always having been that both parties cared for the minor child during the relationship. Now, unless you want to apply the stereotype or the common example, not the common example, the common view that if a child falls ill, it's only the mother that can care for the child. If the child requires something, the mother must do everything. The job is for the father to go to work, earn a salary, and the mother stays at home and she looks after the kids, looks after the home, make sure the home is clean, food is cooked, and so on. That could have been the old stereotype, how things used to work in the past. It still applies to some certain households. Still, many households follow that specific scenario. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Where the mother remains at home and she cares for the kids, she irons the father's shirts, makes sure that everything is done. So when the father comes home, he can eat and she will continue looking after the kids. Now, under those circumstances, it would make logical sense for the minor child to remain with the mother should the parties separate. And I will be honest with you, that makes sense. It makes logical sense. It won't make sense for the father under those circumstances, especially if he never really cared for the minor kids. On weekends, he spent time with the minor children. They went out to the beach together as a family, and so on. However, when it comes to the caring of the minor child, when a child requires assistance with homework, who taught the child how to potty, to use a toilet? Who taught the child how to do things that a child requires someone to assist him consistently with? Obviously, the mom, not the dad. The dad was at work. He was earning a living. He was working for the family, and that's admirable. It's good. However, under those circumstances, it makes sense to follow the stereotype and stipulating. Under these circumstances, the minor child would be best cared for if the minor child remains with the mother. However, if the facts are different, if the facts are that the father cared for the minor child just as much as the mother, maybe, but this is possible depending upon the circumstances. But now they're separated and a decision has to be made. The question is, how should they continue parenting the minor children post-separation? Should it be 50-50, which I have no problem with if it's workable, where the minor child will remain with one parent for 1 week, or 5 days, or 2 days, or 1 day, depending upon the facts, depending upon the circumstances? If both parents live opposite the minor child's school, so the minor child knows, tonight I wake up in my mom's home, I'll go to school, and on my way back, I'll be going to dad. Mom knows that the child won't be coming to her, so she can do whatever she needs to do. The next morning, child wakes up, and he goes to school, and he comes back home to mom. That's fine. It works. It's workable. I am not a judge of families. I never were. I never was. And I do not intend to be one in stipulating what would be the ideal family situation for you. But if you ask me my professional opinion, my professional answer will be what is workable. Is 1 day on, 1 day off workable? I can see problems, but if it's workable, it's workable, and that's wonderful. Is a 5 day on, a 5 day off workable? 1 week on, 1 week off workable? 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 month. If it's workable, wonderful, and it will be a happy family. That's really important. I can come with a perfect parenting plan. Spend time drafting it, well drafted, good English, good grammar. If this, if that, if this, if that. If that applies, well drafted, admirable. However, if it is not workable for this specific family, it's useless. It's a useless piece of paper. It is causing more problems for the family. However, if the parenting plan specifically states that the father can only see the child every second weekend for 1 hour, it's workable. And that's what the people want. The father travels all the time. He lives in Johannesburg. It's a fly down once a month. It's workable and understandable, and that will be the ideal parenting plan. Great. We have some questions on the screen. It's all pre-created, and I typed it out and I pasted it onto the screen for the purposes of getting some context. Let us deal with the first question. I am the mother of my child. Does the father have a right to have primary care over my child? Now, I won't give a yes or no answer because the person is asking me a subjective question, but hypothetical question applying to the general laws. Subjective question to her, I would have to ask the mother quite a few questions. Firstly, how was care and contact exercised whilst the parties were separated initially? If they have only now recently separated, I'll ask questions, for example, who cared for the minor child predominantly during your relationship, your marriage, whatever the case may be. I'll ask the specific questions. If the child fell ill, who cared for the minor child? Who done this? Who done that? I need to understand what are the dynamics applicable here. If the father was actively involved in the minor child's life, just as much as the mother, the dynamics are different than a situation where the father worked very hard to feed the family, to care for the family. However, the question is, post the separation, can the father also care for this minor child just as well as the mother can? Things have changed. We have to relook the matter. So my answer to my client, the mother in this circumstances would be, it depends a lot on the history, on the past and the capabilities of the parents. A lot of things can also happen. A mother can have a nervous breakdown. She can fall ill chronically, which can affect her capability for caring for the minor children. That could happen in a given scenario. I need to know all these specific information before I can give my opinion. It's only my opinion as to what is practical and workable under the circumstances and whether or not there's a prima facie, a first glance, it is a case. Obviously, if the mother tells me, no, the father is the one that cared for the minor child all the time. I'm the one that worked. I'm a jet setter. I'm a CEO of a company. I never did anything to the minor children. He taught him to ride bicycle. He taught him how to fasten their shoelaces. He's the one that potty trained them. He's the one that does all their homework, and so on. They are getting good grades because of him. He's the one that takes him to school and brings them back. He works himself, and he works online, and his clients are in the States, so he works at night, etc. But I'm the mom. I'm the biological mother. I give birth to these kids. Surely the mother will say, should I not have the kids now and the father can have visitation rights? The logic is tainted. Under those circumstances, it will make logical sense and legal sense for the minor children to be placed in the care of the father, and he can continue doing what he does. And the mother can obviously have contact every second weekend, etc. Weekend contact is very important, but during the weekends, there is schoolwork, homework, routine. Unfortunately, the routine will get spoiled a bit because there's not two households. But that's the reality of people breaking up, divorcing, separating, etc. I hope that answers that fictional client's question, and let's get to the next question. Do fathers have a right to have sleepover contact if the child is still young? Very interesting question. One that gets posed to me quite often, and answering it will obviously assist if we apply the question or the comments I made early on regarding question 1. Obviously, if a child is born, comes out of the mother's tummy, the child is breastfed, it makes logical sense. The child must be with the mom. I support that view fully. I do not think a father can care for a newborn child unless there are other issues, complications, the mother is unable to care for the child, etc. But in normal circumstances, the mother can be the top CEO, the most busiest person on earth, but when she gives birth, she won't be working. She'll be dealing with a child. And it makes logical sense, in my view, for the mother to care for the child, unless there are other circumstances, other facts that will persuade me otherwise. But now the child is older. The child is off the breast. The child is now eating solids. The child can, does not require someone to care for the child the entire night. The child sleeps for 4 hours on one, 6 hours on one, whatever the case may be. I do not want to specifically stipulate an age. Each case is different, each family is different. But the child is self-sufficient to a certain extent. Then the question will be, can the child be in the care of the father? And can the father care for the minor child, despite the minor child being very young, on diapers still? Can the father care for the child during the evenings? Now, how do I deal with such a question? It's a factual thing. Is he capable of doing so? Does he have the insight? Does he have the knowledge on how to care for the minor child? Has he experienced contact during the day? I do not believe in the logic that the father never ever had overnight contact, therefore he should never ever have future overnight contact. We need to start phasing things in. Give the father an opportunity to develop that skill, and that skill will obviously get developed should he spend time with the minor child during the day alone. The child will take a nap during the day. The challenge will obviously be now if the child should overnight by the dad the entire evening. Yes, it's possible that child might be missing the mom and be apprehensive and say, where's my mom? I'm not used to this bedroom. But wean it in. Let the child during the day sleep in that bed or wherever the child will be sleeping in. Keep the child a bit longer there. Maybe later till later the evening, mother can collect the child. So the child can fall asleep at the dad's place, but wake up again and go back to the mom. So you create a phased-in approach, which is very important. So my answer to question 2 is yes, it's possible for a father to have overnight contact at if the child is at a young age. It's possible. Depends upon circumstances and other matter, the facts of the matter. If the father is someone that's tired during the evening, has to work early the next morning, and he's making that request based upon wanting to show the mother thing or two, but the child won't be looked after very well, that's a different scenario, because then a very young child might not be the ideal candidate to have overnight contact by the secondary caregiver if the child is too young. If the child is a bit older, I'm going to mention age here, let's say 5 years old, just before going to grade R. Child sleeps right through the evening, child is quite big, mother and the child can have a WhatsApp video or call the evening before the poor child falls asleep, etc. No, that's a different scenario. Then the facts changes a bit. The father can be extremely busy at work, but the child overnight there, they spend some time together, the child falls asleep, has breakfast with the child, tells the child at school, that's it. So those are the scenarios which you have to look at. My guess will be just as good as your guess, but it all depends upon the facts of the matter. That is question number 2. Question number 3. My son wants to stay with me permanently. I'm the father. The mother does not agree. What can I do? Very important considerations that needs to be applied. Father wants to have primary care over the minor child. The mother does not want that to happen. We have to look at all the factors. Of course, the age of the child, the history, how often the child had contact by the dad, how often has the child had contact for half the school holidays, etc. Are we there? Are we far from that? Do we still need to get there? Do we still need to develop a strategy to get to there? For argument's sake, if the father only contacted a minor child for 2 days per month, the case becomes a bit more harder. It will be better for the father to try to get more contact first, half the school holidays, and then work towards being the primary caregiver. Not necessarily going to 50-50 first, but 50-50 is actually a situation where both parties are primary caregiver, and I believe if 50-50 works and it has been applied, it's harder to go and make a case for primary care, but it's possible. Nonetheless, we have to look at all the circumstances, all the factors mentioned in question number 1 and question number 2, and the court will have to determine what is in the minor child's best interest. Is it in the minor child's best interest to be with the dad? Can the dad care for the minor child just as well as the mom can, and even better? Will the minor child's education, psychological, emotional needs be looked after when the minor child being cared by the dad better than the minor child needs would have been looked after with the mom, etc.? When I mention the word needs, remember money has nothing to plays no role in the specific scenario. The father can be extremely wealthy or extremely poor, doesn't matter. The question is what is best for the minor child. If the father is extremely wealthy and is not in the minor child's best interest to be in his care, then that's it. The father must pay more maintenance to the mom because the mom would require the maintenance if she cannot afford to pay for it. And in the same breath, if the father is extremely poor, but he believes he can care for the minor children better, and he can, actually, factually, it's worked out. The mother is extremely busy working, jet setting, etc. And then under those circumstances, the mother must pay child support to the dad. Thank you very much for your time, for watching this webinar. No, there were no live questions. I do not see any. But nonetheless, you're welcome to post questions before tomorrow if you're watching this webinar on Tuesday the 4th of May. If you're watching it on Wednesday the 5th of May, I might have had another webinar and I shall not deal with these questions again. Have a lovely day and stay safe, and thank you for watching.